Okay, so we are in chapter 2, Born in Captivity, and we're on page 45 in the section, The Herd Instinct. Okay, any questions on anything before we start with the text? All right. So this is something that was covered in the previous text also. This idea of the herd instinct, essentially what it means is that when we lack the capacity to think and reason for ourselves, we don't plan or program a course through life that suits us, that suits our particular temperament. So in a sense, it's a sort of laziness, intellectual laziness. And so instead what we do is follow the herd. What predecessors have done, what peers are doing, we just go along with that. So the problem with that is that what we choose in terms of a lifestyle, a course of study, a career, may not suit our individual temperament. It might suit 50% of the population, 80%, 99.9% of the population, but we might be the 0.1 for whom that does not apply. And if we choose an aspect of life that's not in line with our own temperament, then we're going to be frustrated. And or we're also going to be unsuccessful. You know, we've spoken about this before. If we choose an activity that we naturally gravitate towards, we'll tend to do well at it because we have that natural enthusiasm for it and we have a natural ability for it. But if we just follow along what the herd is doing, we miss out on that. So he continues the text. He gives an example of this. He says, a ghastly incident in Turkey was reported in a newspaper in 2005. The report should wake up human beings to realize the consequence of following a herd instinct. On that fatal morning, one sheep leapt from a cliff to its death. Following its trail, 1,500 sheep took the suicidal leap. Stunned shepherds looked on helplessly at the bizarre scene of mass suicide. The newspaper clipping. So you see on page 46, the clipping. 1,500 sheep take suicide leap off cliff. Likewise, humans mechanically follow the trail left behind by their parents, peers, and predecessors. Their thoughts, feelings, and actions are influenced by the place, people, and practice in the situation and environment they live in. So are you victimized by the little world around you. Your mind blindly follows the herd. You would need a powerful intellect to circumvent the mind's trait, to rise above the environmental and circumstantial pressures and establish your own identity. You could reach that state of authority only by fortifying your intellect. So we've spoken about this idea that when we get into a course through life that doesn't suit our temperament, we're frustrated. You know, we don't feel that we're living an authentic life. That's one part, but the other part is that we may be doing things that are actively damaging the environment around us. We may be doing things that are directly counterproductive to the society that we're trying to improve because we're not thinking about it. Everyone thinks it's a good idea to do this, so I do it too. The same thing happens not just with actions, but also with attitudes. You know, people might have certain attitudes towards the way to alleviate a social problem. Okay, so we've got poverty, or we've got certain types of discrimination. Well, what's the best way to fix that? Right, someone comes up with an idea. It seems like a good idea, everyone seems to agree with it, and so you fall into the orthodoxy. And so you also agree that's the best way to solve this problem is through this particular social program. And so everyone puts their effort and everyone puts their support behind a particular social program, and it has the directly counterproductive effect. It keeps the people who you're trying to help down. And there's plenty of people, you know, political commentators who know a lot more about this kind of thing than I do, who you can go and find online, and they are directly criticising these these strongly held beliefs, these orthodoxies as to what it is that can support and improve the environment, support and improve the social situation. It's having the exact opposite effect. Now, whether they're right or wrong is irrelevant. The point is that if we're not thinking about it, we will continue to act in ways that are harmful to the environment if we haven't thought about it. So he says you need a powerful intellect. So how does having an intellect help?
And you're making your own choices.
Yeah, because you're questioning. The basic function of the intellect is to question. It takes nothing for granted. So when we're following a herd instinct, essentially what we're doing is taking for granted that that's the correct way to go. This is the correct way to think, and this is the correct action to perform. When the intellect is functioning, it looks at it, holds it at arm's length, as it were, and then questions it. Why? On what basis? On what basis am I making the choice that I'm making in my life? This is the question. And so that's where we get into this next section. Product of one's nature, vasanas.